Season 5 of Breaking Bad is the climactic chapter of Walter White's transformation from a desperate family man to a ruthless drug kingpin. The final season explores the peak and collapse of Walt's meth empire, the consequences of his moral disintegration, and the destruction he leaves in his wake. Split into two halves, the season moves from expansion and domination to guilt, betrayal, and inevitable downfall. Each episode builds toward a haunting conclusion, cementing Breaking Bad's legacy as one of the most masterfully crafted television series of all time. Following the death of Gus Fring in Season 4, Walt, Jesse, and Mike scramble to eliminate any loose ends. They destroy evidence from the super lab and begin building their own meth empire, using a fumigation business as a mobile lab operation. Walt, now fully embracing his Heisenberg persona, pressures Jesse and Mike into forming a new partnership. Mike Ehrmantraut, more cautious and pragmatic, disagrees with Walt's growing arrogance, but joins the operation to protect his men, many of whom are under investigation by the DEA. As Walt's influence expands, so does his hubris. He manipulates Jesse by framing Huel for stealing his rice and cigarette, convincing Jesse that he was wrong to suspect Walt of poisoning Brock. Walt's masterful deception causes Jesse to trust him again, temporarily. The team partners with Lydia Rodart Quayle, a jittery Madrigal executive who helps them acquire methylamine and expand distribution beyond New Mexico. Walt's empire grows rapidly, and his ambition appears boundless. Tensions between Walt and Mike escalate as law enforcement closes in on Mike's men. When Mike refuses to give Walt the names of his imprisoned associates, Walt impulsively shoots and kills him. In one of the most emotional moments of the series, Walt mutters, "I just realized I could have gotten the names from Lydia," showing how his violent instincts now override logic. In the mid-season finale, gliding over all, Walt walks away from the meth business with a staggering $80 million buried in the desert. However, peace is short-lived. In the iconic mid-credits scene of Episode 8, Hank Schrader, Walt's brother-in-law and DEA agent, finds a copy of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass with a note from Gail Bodeker, confirming Walt's secret identity. Hank begins investigating Walt secretly, gathering evidence with the help of his partner, Steve Gomez. Meanwhile, Jesse grows suspicious and guilty after learning more about Walt's manipulations, including the truth about Brock's poisoning. In a turning point, Jesse teams up with Hank and agrees to help bring Walt down. They attempt to trick Walt into revealing the location of his money, prompting Walt to call in Jack Welker, the leader of a neo-Nazi gang, for backup. This leads to the unforgettable standoff in Episode 13, Tohaji Lee, where Hank and Gomez capture Walt. Just when justice seems within reach, Jack's gang arrives and executes Hank and Gomez, bearing Walt's money and sparing Walt only because of Todd's loyalty. After Hank's death, Walt gives up Jesse to the neo-Nazis, blaming him for everything, and even revealing that he watched Jane die in Season 2. Jesse is enslaved and forced to cook meth for the gang. Todd keeps Jesse alive, partially out of admiration and perhaps manipulation, while continuing Walt's formula. Episode 14, Ozymandias, is widely regarded as the show's most devastating hour. The title, referencing Shelley's poem about the fall of empires, perfectly encapsulates Walt's downfall. Walt's family life is destroyed. Skyler stabs him, Walt Jr. learns the truth, and Walt kidnaps baby Holly before returning her. The image of Walt alone in the desert, watching his empire crumble, is haunting. He flees to New Hampshire under a new identity, provided by Saul Goodman's disappearing contact, but lives in isolation, wasting away in a cabin and watching his legend fade. In the final episode, Felina, Walt returns to Albuquerque to tie up loose ends and seek vengeance. He visits Gretchen and Elliot, former colleagues, and ensures his money will be delivered to Walt Jr. through them, using hired hitmen, actually Badger and Skinny Pete with laser pointers, to scare them into compliance. Walt confronts Lydia and poisons her with ricin, slipped into her stevia. He then goes to the neo-Nazi compound and uses a remote-controlled machine gun hidden in his car trunk to slaughter the gang. He saves Jesse and offers him the chance to kill him, but Jesse refuses, telling Walt to do it himself if he wants to die. Jesse escapes, free at last, screaming in both agony and relief. Walt, wounded by his own ricocheted bullet, walks through the lab one last time and collapses. As police close in, he dies with a faint smile, surrounded by the chemistry that once defined him.